In the early 1990s, the music scene began seeing a growing popularity in the Southern California punk rock bands like Green Day, The Offspring, and Rancid. Another band from that area that achieved success in a unique way, and that would be the Los Angeles group NOFX. Now, unlike the other previously mentioned acts, NOFX never signed to a major label and received very little radio play. Instead, the attention they received was from constant touring around the world and borrowing the melodic hardcore punk rock style of their role models, Bad Religion. The band is led by singer, songwriter, and bassist Fat Mike, along with guitarist Eric Melvin and drummer Eric Sandin. They formed in 1983, and after gaining an underground following, began releasing albums since 1988. Second guitarist El Jefe joined in 1991, and he is considered to be the most talented member since he also sings and plays trumpet. But since Fat Mike is the sole songwriter for the band, this tribute will pertain mostly, or all, to him, I should say. So not only is Fat Mike the brainchild of NOFX, but he also runs his own independent label, Fat Records, which is home to several punk rock bands like Good Riddance, Strung Out, Teenage Bottle Rocket, and the Bomb Pops, just to name a few. Also, when NOFX goes on tour, Fat Mike tends to indulge in an abundance of alcohol and non-designer drug consumption. So it's maybe safe to say that he'll probably be dead sooner than we think. So we decided to do this tribute to him. We're going to pay our respects to Fat Mike the way we always do on this show by ranking all 13 NOFX studio albums from worst to best. And to help me is the SophistipunX member and NOFX enthusiast, Dan. And Dan has been a fan of the Fat Mike and his band for a long time. So you guys know.
Right. That's right.
This is going to be a ranking that is not only official, but 100% accurate.
Yeah.
So like I said, you've been listening for a long time, right?
Yeah. I'm a fanatic. I mean, I've heard all the 7 inches, all the singles. I even read the book that they put out 2 years ago. All the documentaries they did, like Backstage Passport and anything before that. I just love them. I mean, they're such an interesting band, So.
All right. So without further ado, we're gonna do all 13 records. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. I am.
So here we go. Coming in at number 13 for NOFX's worst album is.
Oh, we're starting there. Okay, sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say Liberal Animation.
This would be the debut album is their worst record, which is a good sign because that means they are getting better as they go.
That's correct. Yeah.
So why do you rank that so low?
So right. So when it comes right down to it, it's and it's funny because even they'll admit this, and even Brett Gurewitz of Epitaph Records will admit this. It's not that good of a record. The songwriting is nowhere near how they are now. They recorded this when they were like in their early 20s, so very, very young, new experience. And I got to admit, Brett Gurewitz, the owner of Epitaph Records, the original guitar player of Bad Religion, he's still in Bad Religion. He must have really saw something in them to to do this record with them, because I mean, like, there's some funny songs like Beer Pong,
Beer Bong,
Beer Bong,
okay.
Beer Bong, yeah, Beer Bong, and some really other memorable songs.
So they play those songs as a joke sometime, but you would say you would never go back to that record if you had to.
Exactly, and in fact, they don't really put those songs in their set list anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, I know it's the first record and all that, but it's just it's so not NOFX anymore that it's like it might as well be called by another band,
Yeah.
So that's why I rank it last. Yeah,
okay.
So.
All right. So the only way to go up is from here. So what is number 12?
All right, 12. So S&M Airlines.
So
but no. Trust me, I'm not taking the easy way out and going.
No, I understand that. I'm just seeing like a pattern for the lowest albums, which I feel like they would agree with you. So why would you say that is a bad one too?
Okay. So although this one was a little better, it still wasn't. You could still tell that they didn't know what they were doing with the sound yet. They were still trying to find their sound with these two first records, and you could tell because they were all over the place. This record had more of a metal influence, and Fat Mike's singing still wasn't that good,
Okay.
In fact, there was even Greg Graffin was on the record, doing doing backing vocals, and honestly, that was probably like the only vocally
Saving
good
grace,
song.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those records where again, it's not a NOFX record to me, because they've changed so much and they've improved so much. So that's why that's kind of second to last.
All right, so we're making progress in their sound. What's their number 11 album?
Okay, so now we're really jumping, and you might be surprised with this one, but Wolves in Wolves Clothing is what I put as that, yeah.
And Wolves,
and let me explain.
It's actually their 2006 album.
Sixth album, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so let me explain that. That was a weird record for me because if you remember 2006, what was going on at the time was everyone was putting in their 2 cents about why they hated Bush. Green Day had American Idiot. Everyone had their political album.
So after the whole election happened, you're saying 2 years later, this album was what then, basically?
It was just like, again, it was like they were trying too hard. Well, not like the other records I mentioned, but with this one, it's like, like I love song like Seen Double on the Triple Rock. That's a NOFX song. Getting High on the Down Low is a NOFX song. But then there's like some songs that are like acoustic, and then there was some songs that are like reggae, and although they've done that kind of stuff in the past, at least they put it in the album where it all fit in. This was just, it seemed like a jumble of music that was just different genres, even though it's a far improvement from like Liberal Animation, talent-wise and production-wise. To me, it was just like a jumbled up mess, and it didn't really say NOFX to me. Like the songwriting is much more improved, but it's like, out of all the 13 songs, 13 albums, it just didn't do it for me. So.
All right, damn. All right.
Yeah,
So it's kind of funny because I think that's when they just didn't give a about like who was president anymore, but you saw something different than what I heard.
Yeah.
All right, so coming at number 10, what do you got?
Okay, so let's see.
Helps number that stuff, doesn't it?
Right. So Heavy Petting Zoo.
Heavy Petting Zoo, another fan non-favorite.
Right. So even NOFX, especially Fat Mike, talks about how much they hate this album.
It's a 1996 album.
That's right. And it's funny because this album sold a lot, and I think it's mainly because of the cover.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
like, and even Fat Mike wrote that too. In the book, and don't get me wrong, it's a catchy record. I mean, there's songs like Hobophobic,
yeah.
First track, and then there's other fun songs too, but
Hot Dog in the Hallway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's like, and those are NOFX songs, but there's a lot of ska influence in that record that, like, again, I think they were just trying something new, and it just didn't work, and it kind of went away from like the skate punk aspect a little bit. I think they wanted to write some more polished songs. I think in their heads, even though they were signed to Epitaph, I think in their heads they wanted to maybe try something new, and it just wasn't for them. So.
All right, so you're saying yes. I thought the album was more grungier, but you're saying that was they were taking the wrong turn to what they were doing previously. And
Right. Actually, grungier is a good way to describe it too. Actually, yeah.
So what's their number 9 of the NOFX albums?
Okay, so 9 is Ribbed, and it's funny because I actually like this album a lot. And the reason it's not higher up is because everything going up, like I like a lot,
Okay.
So
that's a good sign. Then it's getting better.
Yeah, exactly. The reason I loved Rib so much is because they finally found their sound. Since Brett Gurewitz was working with them on it, he gave them a lot of ideas, and he felt like, and Fat Mike felt like, Brett Gurewitz was trying to turn them into Bad Religion, because he knew Bad Religion was successful, so he's like, hey, I could use the same formula with them,
But ironically, this is when they were trying to sound like Bad Religion, so it's kind of interesting that
exactly.
People say that this is when they got their sound. It's like, yeah, but you were borrowing, like I said earlier, from a band you loved, which is fine. It's a lot of bands sound like Bad Religion in that area now, and it's not a problem. But you're telling me he had an issue with making an album that sounded too much like his influences.
Exactly. So going forward, like, I think that was his mission, and you could totally see it in the records.
Yeah.
That are coming up. That, like, he really did, like, strive to be his own thing, and you can totally tell. So
he's trying to borrow a little bit, but at the same time make NOFX have their own signature sound.
Exactly.
Will be, as we'll see on future albums. So, what's your number 8 then?
Okay. So 8 is Self-Entitled.
Self-Entitled. Okay, 2012.
That's right. So we're really jumping, but again, it's like these are now the records that I really like, and it was just hard to rank them type deal.
Yeah.
So what I love about this record is that this 2012. This is when Obama's president. And the whole thing about Bush, it's completely gone. Like, no one cares about Bush anymore. So they went back to their kind of silly songs, like 72 Hookers. I mean, that's such a funny song, and but it also has a lot of meaning to it too.
Yeah, it's still political in a way, but it's still comical at the same time.
That's right. Like I think after War on Terrorism, like, it's almost hard for Mike not to write a political song, but it's like they started to become less and less. But yeah, no, I love that record because it's like, okay, we got the politics out of our system, and now we're back to, like, writing, like what we did, like, in our 20s,
Yeah.
So
okay, so you like when they make funny songs, but at the same time the songs sound good.
yeah, exactly.
All right, so what's your number 7 then?
Okay, so 7 is First Ditch Effort. And, it's tough because I really like this album, and this is the newest one,
Yeah, the latest one.
Yeah, the latest one. And
this one we talked about on a previous podcast. That's their most personal album I've heard to date. By personal in Fat Mike's,
exactly. And
Mike's
actually,
style,
that's why I like it a lot too, is because he talks about, like, Tony Sly. He talks about drug, his drug abuse. He talks about
dressing in women's clothing.
Right. Exactly. And
He talks about his father, things like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Very deep stuff. And that's why I like it. It's a very personal album, and you got all the elements you like about NOFX. Some fast songs, some slower songs, some funny songs. So
okay, all right. So see, now we're halfway there almost.
Yeah.
What is your number 6 album?
Okay, so I know everyone would probably say this is number 1, but Punky Drug is where.
Whoa!
This. Yeah,
holy man!
Yeah, I know.
God,
and there's so many others.
You gotta
left.
explain that.
Exactly, I know, and I was preprepared for that because I know I'm going to.
I can hear the torches lighting up right now.
Yeah.
So
why
you sit there? 1994 record that people say this their best. It's their half gold record, and probably the most sold record they've ever put out, and it came out the same time when punk rock music broke. So they got swept up in the whole thing of it. But you're putting it at number 6. Why?
Okay. So the best thing I could come up with is when you get to the top 6, the top 5, you have to start thinking about what they personally did for you, and like, because see, I could think all day about, like, what the world, loves about NOFX and what the world would rank the records, and of course everyone's going to put that one first, but for me, I love that record. It's a great record. I mean, man, songs like Linoleum, I mean, that's going to go down in history as like a punk rock classic, And
so they're doing things that you like, but why? That you're saying it didn't affect you personally? That why it's so low?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So again, Punky Drug is a great record, but the reason it's ranked at 6, and this is just for my own personal preference, is because of the fact that it just wasn't as influential to me as the other ones.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason.
Okay. I think I respect that then, man.
Yeah.
So going back what we said earlier, it may not be accurate to you guys out there, but this is he's really thinking about songwriting as well as, what meaningful lyrics as well, and what it means to him personally. That's what list is all about. So now we're in the top 5. What's your number 5 NoFX album?
Okay, so even though I said, I'd rather listen to, the silly NoFX songs, number 5 is going to be The War on Errorism.
Okay, one of my favorite.
Yeah. And now, when I heard this record, okay, so 2003, I was 17, and that's a very influential age, and, you also don't know enough about the world, so you always try to go to people that will influence you, that you look up to, and NoFX was NoFX and Fab Mike and everything he was producing at the time. He was kind of like the guy that I would go to, I mean, not personally, but like the guy I would read about and listen to his music as my point of reference to what to believe in with politics. I turned 18 in 2004, and that was the first year I could vote, and that's when this whole punk voter thing was all about, was to get the new voters to vote for John Kerry, and that's exactly what I did, actually, Okay. So that whole thing completely worked for like my demographic of people, That's why it ranks number 5 for me, because and there's so many great songs in there too. So many funny songs, like even non-political songs like Mattersville, and like and even though that's not like a fast song, it's still like a funny song, and like what's that? Oh yeah, Mediocre. Even though I love
talking
that song.
About the music industry, and we got the song about keeping punk rock is so safe nowadays. Now it's like more
I love
dangerous
that song.
anymore.
I love that song.
Another song I love on the album is about how him and his wife at the time they
That's
met.
Right.
Based on album to listen to.
That's right.
It's a good album as well. What's your number 4 then?
Okay, so 4 is Pump Up the Volume.
Because you're all about drugs, right?
Yeah, right. Right. Well, we'll see. Why I like this album, and it's funny because a lot of people don't like this album because they feel like as if NoFX didn't do their best work on it. Because if you listen to the record, there's a lot of songs where like in the studio where like you'll hear like someone say something in the background, and usually the
which
sound
is common
engineer,
in punk rock music nowadays.
Exactly.
The opening part when they're like talking to each other or they're counting off on the drums and then the song starts. I love that. I don't know why people don't like that.
I love that stuff too. I love that stuff too, and that's why I love this record. Is it has a lot of character, and like it's where Fab Mike it's like no holds bar. I mean he wrote a song about wanting to have a vagina. He wrote a song about like
mixing heroin and marijuana.
Marijuana, and then there's track 1 where it's like basically like
the same song we've heard already.
Yeah. And then there's another song called "Stranger Than Fishing," which is like a play on words with Bad Religion. Yeah. And it's like I read the lyrics and I'm like, dude, I could have wrote that when I was 17 or something, So a lot of like kind of anti-intellectual type themes, but again, that's what I love about them, and also the reason this ranks so high is because it's another personal record where it was one of the first records I heard by them, So I'm going by that, and it's just like it's just a fun NoFX record, and that's why it's so high.
Yeah. Thank God It's Monday. It's a good song too.
Yeah,
I wish I lived that lifestyle of that song.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I have yet to achieve the life where I could go to the movies in the middle of the afternoon.
Right. Oh yeah, and then then songs like "What Are With Parents These Days." That was another funny song too.
Yeah. All right, so we're last 3. What's your number 3 album?
Last three. Okay, so "White Trash, Two Heaps and a Bean."
Okay, that's the first El Jefe album, right?
That's right. That's the first
1992.
1992. Right. So why I like this record so much is because it came right after Ribbed, and you could tell the difference. Even though I said Ribbed is the template for NoFX, and I agree with that. This is the record where everything was like everything came together because El Jefe joined the band, and you could just tell the songwriting was just so tight,
Yeah.
And that's when you could tell like, okay, this is a really good band now. But again, this was one of the earlier records I heard, and another personal like kind of thing of why I ranked it so high. This is where the NoFX we know now started.
This is the point where they were a foundation, and to this day, they have the same lineup as
That's
they did
right.
for that album.
That's right.
to the
That's
point.
right. That's right.
And you got the please play the song on the radio. You got
That's right.
the
That song's so funny.
the cover of the Minor Threat song.
That's right. That's
Straight
right.
Edge.
That's right. That's right.
Sold out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good songwriting right there, and it's at the time when punk rock wasn't a trend. But at the same time, if the album came out 2 years later, it would have been way more popular than it was at the time. We're going. What's number 2? I'm really nervous. What's going to be?
Yeah. No. Aren't we at number 1?
No, number 2. What's your number 2 album?
Oh, I thought we did number. Oh, man, damn it. Okay, I screwed everything up. Damn.
Oh, you did?
Okay. Well, damn it. Yeah. Because Coaster is like.
I was thinking about that. Coaster's number 3.
Let's see. God damn it. Okay, I'm so sorry. Coaster was actually before Pump Up the Volume. Damn it. I'm so sorry for screwing this up.
Aw, you missed Coaster. Coaster is number 4, you guys.
And it's funny because like that's why Fat Mike called it Coaster, because everyone forgets about CDs.
So Coaster's number 4, Pump Up the Volume's number 3, and White Trash, 2 Hebrews and Beam is number 2.
Correct. Okay, so
do you want to tell us real quick why Coaster's number 4, and then we'll get to number 1?
Yes. And by the way, I'm so sorry for screwing this up. So Coaster, again, another personal record for me, and this came out in 2009, and 2009 was my last year in college, and I remember this was one of those things where it got me through like college, kind of like the last year of college, and listening to this record is what got me to like just have a more positive outlook, like okay, it's time to go to school now. Yeah. But anyway, as far as the songwriting goes, it actually reminded me of White Trash, 2 Hebes and a Bean, because it had like the super fast stuff, but it also had like some really silly songs like Creeping Out Sarah,
Okay.
which not stylistically, but like it kind of reminded me of a song like Johnny Appleseed, where it's like really silly,
Okay.
And then you see Fat Mike really getting into his emotions with songs like Orphan Year, and things like that. I'm like, wow, like that's big of Fat Mike to talk about such a heavy subject, and also this is 2009, and Obama's president, and there's no need to talk about politics really. So
okay, so if you guys been keeping track, because I'm sure you're like, if you guys been keeping score, you're like, he's gonna put Coaster that high.
Yeah,
he did
exactly.
So your number 1 album, obviously, is 1997 album, So Long and Thanks for the Shoes, which might be because it's your first album heard from them.
That's right.
But for I'll let you explain it. But for me, I think that was the last album they did that had any ska songs in it. Even though it was trendy to play ska in 1997, but why did you rank it at number 1?
Right, exactly. For me, there's no bad song in that record. Like, yeah, I know there's the ska influence, but that's like that's what I like about it. How the first track, It's My Job to Keep Punk Rock Elite, just a typical hardcore NOFX song. Then you go into track 2, Kids of the K-Hole, starts off hardcore punk, then it goes into reggae,
Yeah.
And I just love that stuff. And then and then so on and so forth. And like one of my favorite songs of NOFX, like in their whole thing, is I'm Telling Tim. I love that song, And so you get like the short songs, you get some ska songs, you even get some reggae songs like Eat the Meek, and you get to hear like El Jefe sing, and it's just like everything I love about NOFX is in that album, because I love, I do like ska, but I don't love it as much as punk, but still it's like I like it when NOFX does it, actually, because they do a good job with it, actually. And they shouldn't be doing it too much. But see, that album is the perfect thing of like it has enough ska and enough reggae mixed in with their punk rock style, But again, I know that's not going to be everyone's number 1,
but
for sure not. But for me, that's again a personal decision, So
All right, so that is Dan's list of the best to worst NoFX albums. So Fat Mike, you will be missed. Once your life expires, you are considered a national treasure to punk rockers from all different generations, and your music is definitely one of a kind. Unless you ask my wife, who might be the only NoFX hater on the planet. Because when I asked her what she would say if Fat Mike passed away, she replied, "Good. Who gives a?"
Right.